Today on the channel, we build the Watcher, and we rank the entire Marvel Legends What If wave from my least favorite to my favorite. Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another Marvel Legends ranking and Build-A-Figure discussion. And today, we rank the What If line from my least favorite to my favorite, and we show off and talk about the Watcher. But remember, for all your Marvel Legends needs, including the What If line, hit up Big Bad Toy Store. Link in the description below. Before we get into ranking the set, we got to take a look at this Watcher figure, and I put that together before the episode started here, and I'm glad I did because this one fought me a little bit. I didn't look any directions or anything, and some of the legs and arms aren't the tightest. They take some time getting them in there. We've had tougher Build-A-Figures, but we've definitely had easier Build-A-Figures. But where does this Build-A-Figure rank in the history of Build-A-Figures? That's for you to decide out there, and I guess me to decide where I put him in my rankings. But he is a big figure like we like with our Build-A-Figures. But the Watcher, this is not Watcher that I think of and probably the majority of you guys think of, but there's probably a new generation that when they think the Watcher, this is what they think of. I think more akin to that Marvel Select one from years ago that unfortunately, as I film this today, got canceled from Amazon. I hope Big Bad Toy Store comes through and doesn't cancel their order because I really do want that Marvel Select. That's the best Watcher figure so far in my book. But I got to pick that one up. And this one I'll do on the What If shelf. But it's historically not the Watcher I think of out there. But you guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below. But it's a big figure. A lot of pieces here. You got the little cape kind of hood thing going on here. Once again, you do get the cape. You got his big robe. You got two chest cavity pieces. You got two arms, two legs, and a head. The head is interesting. I guess we'll start there. White eyes, looks like a baby, but looks old at the same time. So it's an old baby, is what it looks like. But very interesting, but it does look like the Watcher from Disney Plus, so it does look like it. The skin tone is a little orange hue to it, but once again, much like we saw in the Disney Plus series out there. And that piece always falls off. This is the backing piece that goes in. It just kind of plugs in there. I might even use some sticky tack inside there just to hold that a little bit better because it's annoying every time you move him that it falls off. But is what it is. If I can get the cape in there, I don't know. Like I said, I'm glad I put this together off screen because it would have taken forever. I was awfully frustrated a few times with this guy having some issues there, but there it is. But he does have his gold forearm gauntlet going on here. He does have double jointed knees and a bicep swivel, and his arms or hands rotate out there. One side of him has the cloth robe going on here, like something out of the Planet of the Apes, beneath the Planet of the Apes, I should say. Got good articulation on the hands, though. The hands move all over the place, but very robed. You got the big kind of robe thing going on his arms that we're used to with robes. He doesn't have shoes. He likes to walk around barefoot. He's not worried about rocks, glass, anything like that. He's a barefoot guy, and more power to him. Does have that gold emblem, that gold chest piece here to really break up that blue. A very bright, vibrant blue on this one. He does look like a cosmic being or some kind of an alien of some sorts. But a big hulking figure. He's going to stand over in the What If. He's a guy you kind of put up on the side on a flight stand or kind of stacked above everybody, watching over people like a Watcher would do. He's a Watcher. That's what he does. Unless it's the final episodes where he starts to get involved. But an okay Build-A-Figure. I guess it makes sense for this wave to have him as the Build-A-Figure, but by no means my favorite Build-A-Figure ever. I like a good big Build-A-Figure. He's a big guy, but not really what I'm looking for. But like I said, it does make sense. Part of the What If wave, it makes sense to get him. So I can't be too gripey about that. He's bigger than your average figure out there, so he wouldn't work on his own. He had to be a Build-A-Figure, and I think some people like this out there. There's got to be somebody. But all in all, for me, it's okay. As part of the Build-A-Figures we've had in 2021 especially, nowhere near the top, maybe lower middle, somewhere in there. But you guys tell me, what do you think about this Watcher? Where does he sit for you? Any thoughts on him? Let me know in the comments down below. But the time has come. It's time to put the pen to the paper and decide the What If wave from my least favorite all the way to my favorite. All right, the time has come to rank the what if line from my favorite to my least favorite. And there were some challenging points to this and some not so challenging points to this, like any ranking system. But when you throw in the Hydra Stomper, you throw in Mobius, a couple of guys that flirted with being in this line, and I'm going to count them as part of this line. This is a big set. This is a big pickup here, and there's a lot of figures. There's some good, there's some bad, there's some in the middle, like most of them out there. But we're going to break it down from my favorite, or my least favorite to my favorite, I should say. And we're going to start on this end with my least favorite, and I'm going to go with T'Challa. A little too cartoony looking for me, a little too skinny for me. I get they're all cartoony, but he is overly cartoony from what my eyes can tell, and that's why he's the last one for me. Not a lot of meat on the bone for that one, an old saying from the show. Second to last for me, gonna go Nebula. Nebula is a character I didn't really like a whole lot during her regular version, let alone her Smurfette version. So Nebula, it's cool, it's better than expected, but it's still nowhere near the top of my list. I do like the blue and the blonde contrast with the purple outfit. It is an eye-catching figure, but it's a figure I don't have a connection to, and it's just missing something, but I can't put my finger on what that exactly is. But her and T'Challa, those were hanging up the rear for me. And then you go to Sylvie, number 3. Nothing wrong with Sylvie, good character likeness, maybe a hair pale, but just kind of a plain figure out there. And she was okay in the show. I liked her enough, but I don't know if this is enough of all the bells and whistles you get with some of these superhero lines. Some of these other figures we're going to talk about, just not enough right there to get that one to the next level for me. So she's third from the bottom. And then we go to Doctor Strange, which is an interesting one. This is not my Doctor Strange. Most of you guys, this probably isn't your Doctor Strange. It's an interesting figure. I haven't had a figure from any line in a long time that's been this greasy, that is a newer figure. I'm not sure what's up with the plastics there. I don't know if we'll have some more issues over time. Just a very, very strange one, this Doctor Strange. Very fittingly, being Doctor Strange Supreme, of course. But he does look better than expected. Once again, I thought he was going to be really darker, but it does have a good likeness to the cartoon episode. But because of the greasiness, I'm not a big fan of the big flowing cape. It is cape season after all, as we've demonstrated throughout these unboxings. But that's just not my favorite cape. It is a little wiry, a little crazy out there, a little different than all the other capes we've gotten in the past, but that's just where he's going to sit for me. But then next up is Zombie Hunter, Peter Parker, Spidey, Spider-Man, whatever we want to call him out here. Once again, another caped figure, a really good Spider-Man, and a 2-in-1 figure. I could see people, like I said in the review, buying this for a Spider-Man, everyday Spider-Man, or a Peter Parker, or Zombie Hunter. So it really is almost a 3-in-1 figure in some ways, and just a very strong representation of the character. Looks dead on like him in the TV series on Disney+. So I like that one a whole lot. And then the biggest surprise probably of this whole table here is Mobius. I really like this Mobius figure. Something about the cattle prod is nice. Owen Wilson's good enough. They really did hit the likeness on this one a lot. I liked him the best in the Loki series, so he had that going for him. And then the versatility of this suit. Like I broke down, you can use him in a lot of different displays out there if you really wanted to. Customizers can use him. But I just really like the character. I just think it's a good look. It really brings me back to the 80s as a kid, going to my dad's work, seeing people dressed like this. This is how people dressed back in the day. Even though this isn't necessarily set in the 80s, but this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of a nice 80s Texas gentleman is what this outfit reminds me of. But just, it's very strange how this one got to the middle of the road where my gut would have told me maybe at the back end going into this, but rankings-wise, that's where he landed for me. Technically not a part of the set, as we talked about. He is the Target exclusive out there, but Sylvie's part of it. He came out about the same time as What If. I'm just including him in here. So if you take him out, you can just shrink the rankings down if you really want to do that. Next up after him is the Watcher, the Build-A-Figure from this line. Not my Watcher, like a lot of you guys, probably just like Doctor Strange. This isn't what I think of when I think of the Watcher, but there's a lot of people that do now, that this is their first incarnation, their first go around the sun with the Watcher in their life. So this is what they think of. He looks like a big, tall, old baby. It's just, I want something more out of my Build-A-Figures, but as we described, talking about this one, it does make sense where he is and what it is as a Build-A-Figure. This had to be the Build-A-Figure of Series 1. I think they made the right choice. It's just not my favorite Build-A-Figure, and he's not number 1 in my heart. So there you go. So now we get to the top 3, and this is where some of the surprises start to happen. A lot of people would say the Hydra Stomper would probably be my number 1, knowing my love for mechanical things and, of course, big figures. But he didn't fit there, and you could make the argument, okay, take him out. He's not technically in the What If wave, even if he kind of is because he's part of the What If wave. It gets complicated sometimes. But I'm going to put him at number 3. Not a ton of bells and whistles here. It is a big figure, but it doesn't feel like you could do a whole lot with it. He does have articulation and stuff. You can put characters on him. But like I said in the review of this one as well, I wish we could have had an alternate head where we could have had a meekish Steve Rogers in there, something along those lines. I think that would have been pretty fitting and pretty easy to do. So there's just, not a lot of color, not a lot of bells and whistles to this one, but it is cool. It is a big figure. You knew it was going to be at the top of the list. You just might be surprised that it's number 3 for me. But then the biggest shocker for me here is number 2. Agent Carter here, Peggy Carter. I was shocked. I didn't know where this would be. Probably the lower middle is where I assumed. But I was blown away by the vibrancy of the color on this one. And then the head sculpt. Just looks like it walked right off the TV. One of the best Marvel Legends head sculpts, face sculpts, whatever you want to call it, in a long, long time, which brought this one up where I would have guessed maybe somewhere over here, brought her all the way up to the top of the house. So one of the most surprising Marvel Legends figures in 2021 for me is this Captain Carter. I like it that much, and the colors pop, the face pops, just a great figure all around. Number 1, you probably would have assumed this would have been number 2, number 3 going into this, just knowing what I like out there. I love zombies. I love Captain America. That was my favorite Disney Plus episode. I hope we get more zombies in the future in the Marvel Legends. I think there's a whole line that could be brought to life via the Marvel Legends team, and I hope it's maybe around this time next year for the Halloween season. How cool would that be to have the Marvel Legends zombie line come out? But this Captain America is great. All kinds of articulation. I love the bullet holes, or just the holes through the skin, the torn clothing, the blue color. It's just everything you want in a zombie. It looks like it walked off the screen. Captain America being one of my favorites. Just all around cool, and just an awesome, awesome figure out there. Just not a lot to dislike for me. That's exactly what I'm looking for in a figure. So number 1 maybe doesn't surprise a lot of people. Number 2 probably surprises a ton of people. 3 surprises people. And the rest is kind of just there. But I do recommend getting this wave, especially if you're a What If fan. Like I said, I'm going to display this on its own shelf in my collection. I'm not going to mix and match these guys with their other versions and stuff like that. This is its own little world that needs to be displayed together. That's how I view it. Hopefully the zombie world gets to added to in the future. Fingers crossed, Marvel Legends team. Let's see that happen one of these days. But you guys in the comments below, this is where it gets difficult. Can you rank this set in order? Do you have all these? Are you planning on getting these? I'd love to hear your opinions and your ranking. And you got to put them in order. That's the hard part. That's the fun part of it all. So put them in order of where you like them the best and where you like them the least. So make sure you put that in the comments. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the old notification bell. Follow me on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, _Kyle_Peterson on Instagram, and of course, ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. So for the Marvel What If wave, and Loki too, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.